the best question that I've been asked thus far in my journey. And so the question was, he has a nephew who is like me. And he's approached his nephew, and it's like, I've asked him if he identifies as trans or if he identifies as non-binary, because they've never told the child that the child cannot wear whatever clothes that the child wants to wear. And so this particular child chooses to wear women's clothing, and moves very feminine, and voice is very high pitched, and wears the hair very long. And so he was just like, I've asked him over and over again, and he says he doesn't hasn't really thought about it and doesn't really have an answer. And he was like, I just want him to know that I love him and I support him. And I was like, you want me to answer on this? He was like, please. Because I want to make sure I'm doing what I feel is the right thing to do. And I told him, I said, listen, it doesn't matter what we wear, okay? Or what I really told him, no, what I told him is, you're using words where words don't need to be used. I said, this child has chosen to wear clothes that this child feels like identifies with who they are. There's no definition that needs to be given. There is no title that needs to be given. This child does not need to choose a box to check in order for you to love them. All you got to do is love them. We don't have to understand to love. Okay? That sun, that moon, they do whatever it is that they're supposed to do, and we love them. We don't have to understand them to love them. So why do we bring ourselves to a place where we feel that in order for me to love you, I have to know what you are? Instead of, why can't I just love you based off of who you are choosing to be to me in this moment? So, I did tell him, I said what I would do, because I feel like this is the basis of all love. And this is just me speaking as my own personal opinion and coming from somebody who, as a child, what do I feel that I didn't get that every parent or parents that want to know are asking? Encouragement. Just encouragement. Encourage your child. You know what I'm saying? Compliment the hair. Compliment the outfit, because in doing that, you'll get to see who they are. They just want to be acknowledged for being themselves. They want to be acknowledged for their identity, not through a label, but through you just recognizing that they're choosing to be different because they are. So he was like, oh my God, thank you so much. And it really, I thanked him, because I was thinking, no one's asked me this question. And you would think, as a child, what he being supportive, of his nephew, and understanding that this is a part of his nephew's journey and this is what his nephew chooses to do, is fine. Whether or not, the child identifies as he or she or Jim or them or binary or non-binary, really doesn't matter. You don't need to be able to define them to love them. So it was great. And of course, this child will probably be coming underneath my wing now. I just with these selected families, a birth happens a little differently. It's like they come into the room and your spirit touches you and you're like, oh Lord, this is my child. But I'm grateful, because being a part of this experience made me realize, when my own grandmother, my own biological grandmother, I remember an individual when I was very young whose spirit I felt like touched mine and identified with mine. And I wasn't allowed to communicate with this person, because this person was, very much so. I don't know how they identified, okay? But it was clear in the way that they presented themselves that everybody was aware of how this person chose to present themselves. And so I was never allowed to speak, because my parents Religion forbade that type of behavior. But my grandmother, who wasn't a part of the religion that my parents chose to raise me in, which is the JW faith, brought this individual around, and I believe that helped her take care of me and appreciate me and understand me, because she had lived long enough to see that there was more than what we've been told, that things aren't as black and white as we like to make them, where it's like, oh, it's so black and white, but yet here I am in color. So, life gives us a lot of things, and sometimes it's hard to want to move outside of this binary system, because we think that there's so much more meaning by having such a binary system, when in actuality we limit ourselves to the full scope of the gradients that are available to us in everyday life, that's not just available to us but to everything that shares this existence with us. And I call that love. So here's to a great experience, a wonderful journey, and I'm still in Hawaii.